The first rays of dawn filtered through the window, stirring the room into a soft awakening. Shanto awoke with the sun, not because of an alarm clock or any modern device, but because the day was calling to him, slowly nudging him from his dreams. The year was 1900, and though the world felt quiet, it was alive with the simple beauty of daily life. His bed was small, the blanket thick and heavy, a comfort against the cold night. The cold was often a presence in his room, yet he had grown used to it. His house, like so many others in the village, was modest. No modern luxuries, just the basics needed to survive. Shanto sat up, stretching his stiff back. The hard mattress had left an imprint on his skin, and he winced slightly as he stood up, his body protesting the long hours of labor he had endured the day before. He looked out the window at the early morning sky, the blue shifting slowly as the sun crept higher, spilling golden light into the room. There were no bustling streets filled with honking cars, no streetlights or buzzing electricity. Instead, the only sounds that filled the air were the gentle chirping of a bird outside his window and the soft rustling of leaves stirred by the breeze. It was the calm before the day's work began. The morning was still fresh, and the house was silent. It was a solitude Shanto had come to cherish, even as it felt isolating at times. His thoughts were simple as he washed his face with the cold water from the bowl, no faucets or running water in his home. The icy shock of the water helped clear his mind, and he breathed in deeply, readying himself for the day ahead. Shanto dressed in the clothes his family had always worn, simple, sturdy garments made from the fabric available, a white shirt, brown trousers, and heavy boots. The clothes had seen better days, but they were durable, they were practical. There was no room for frivolous fashion in this world, just enough to protect from the cold and the demands of the day. After a simple breakfast of bread, butter, and milk, Shanto left the house. The street was empty, save for the occasional passerby, each person busy with their own routine. The cobblestone road crunched underfoot as he made his way to the factory, the soles of his boots making a rhythmic sound. He could smell the air, the earthy scent of the ground mixing with the faint traces of horse manure, an unmistakable sign of the rural life he led. There were no cars, no noise of modern machines. Instead, he walked past the steady rhythm of people performing their daily tasks. He saw a woman sweeping the front step of her house, a boy carrying a bucket of water from the well, and two old men sitting on a bench, their voices low as they talked about the simple matters of life. The walk was quiet, peaceful, and familiar. For Shanto, it was time to think, to reflect. The world seemed slower then, but also more connected. Every person had a role to play in this small town, and Shanto felt a sense of pride in knowing he was part of it all, even if that role involved the daily grind of factory work. As he approached the factory, he saw others arriving, their tired faces showing the wear of hard labor. The factory loomed ahead, dark and oppressive, its smoke-belching chimneys casting a shadow over the street. The work would not be easy, but it was necessary. The machines inside would not stop until the bell rang, signaling the end of the day. Inside the factory, it was a different world. The air was thick with dust and the constant hum of machines. The workers moved in a kind of unspoken rhythm, a coordinated dance of lifting, carrying, and pushing. Shanto was one of many. His job simple: carry boxes, move heavy pieces of wood, and help assemble parts for the larger machinery. Hours passed in the same rhythm. Sweat trickled down Shanto's face as his muscles ached, but there was no time to rest. The work was demanding, but it had to be done. His shirt was stained with dust, his hands were raw, but he continued. There was no room for complaint. No matter how hard the work was, no matter how tiring the day became, the simple truth was that there was no other option. You worked or you didn't eat. At midday, there was a short break, and Shanto found a quiet corner in the factory. He ate the bread and cheese his mother had packed for him, the only meal he would get until the end of the day. The bread was tough, but it filled him up. The cheese was hard and a little too salty, but it provided sustenance. He drank from the small metal cup, the cool water giving him a moment of refreshment before he returned to work. The hours dragged on. The bell rang and the workers shuffled out of the factory, each man tired but unwilling to stop. Shanto walked home, his boots dragging on the cobblestone, his mind as tired as his body. The streets were busier now. Children were playing, their laughter echoing in the air. Women were washing clothes in the buckets, their voices mingling with the sound of water splashing. The smell of food drifted from open windows, and for a moment, Shanto imagined himself sitting down to a warm meal, a moment of peace before the day ended. When Shanto finally arrived home, the house felt warm. The fire in the fireplace crackled, sending small sparks into the air. The heat was a welcome relief after the chill of the outside. The table was set, simple but comforting. Soup, bread, and some vegetables. The smell of onions and carrots filled the room as the family gathered around the table. Dinner was a quiet affair. They spoke of their day, his father about the work he had done, his mother about the chores around the house. Shanto's little sister smiled at him, her face bright despite the simple food and the long hours. It was a modest meal, but it was a meal they shared together. After dinner, the family stayed together. There was no television or radio, no distractions from the world outside. They talked, told stories, and laughed. Shanto's father spoke of his childhood, of the days when he had worked in the fields as a boy, using his hands to show how he had run and played with his friends. It was a simple world, but it was one full of connection. As the fire died down, and the candle flickered, casting shadows on the walls, the family grew quiet. One by one, they retired to their rooms. Shanto went to his small bed, pulling the heavy blanket over him, feeling the warmth from the fire still lingering in the house. The night was silent, a world without the hum of machines or the roar of cars. The wind outside whispered through the trees, and Shanto closed his eyes. The day had been long, the work hard, but as he lay there, drifting off to sleep, he felt a sense of peace. It wasn't an easy life, but it was a life that felt real. As the world outside went dark, Shanto thought about the simplicity of the past, the hard work, the quiet moments shared with family. In that stillness, there was a certain kind of beauty, a beauty that he hoped he would never forget. The past was not just a time of struggle, it was also a time of connection, of living each day with purpose. Shanto fell asleep to the sound of the wind, grateful for the life he had and the quiet moments of peace that filled his days.